there'd be like a big box, and they'd be like, "Oh man, this heavy, Derek, help me!" And I just had practice the day before. Nope, and they would get so mad at me because they were so lazy. I'm like, no, you gotta understand. If I pick up that box with the way how beat up I am right now, it's gonna set me back 3 days of healing.
Hello YouTube and welcome back to Psychology Everyday, day 66. Today I have a podcast with you with Derek Smith, elite arm wrestler. He has been up on the big stage, East versus West, and just an amazing guy to talk to. I'll link to his channel in the description below, and have a great day, everyone.
Center. Right. Go! Training is going a little hiccup. I had a little bit of a hiccup, but things are going well. I was going really hard for like 3.5 months, and then I just had a 3-week setback. But I'm starting back up on Tuesday. So what's today? Friday. So in a few days I'll be starting up. I'm pretty open about this. I went on I talk about it on my YouTube channel as well. I started getting testosterone pellets. So I go to a doctor's office, I had my testosterone levels checked and everything like that. So it's basically like TRT replacement. And but they make a small incision, they put these little pellets in, and then they slowly release testosterone over the course of 4 months just into my system. So but it costs a good amount of money, and so my 4 months ran out like a little over a month ago. So this whole month I was just like no testosterone, just tired all the time.
No drive.
As of yesterday, I officially got that taken care of. So I have a big old bandage on my hip right now. I'm all bandaged up, so I got to wait for that. It takes a couple days of healing, and then I'll be back at it. So I got some stuff booked, some matches booked coming up, so I'm trying to get ready for it.
Is it announced, these matches?
No, none of it's been announced yet. They're confirmed. I mean, as far as I can tell, they're confirmed from me, the other athlete, both said yes, and the promoter said yes. So I'm just waiting on the promoters to release it.
Yeah.
But it's one in August and then another one in December.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got plenty of time to get in super shape then.
Yeah. And I want to make, so I'm obviously not happy with a lot of my showings I've had, like King of the Table or East vs. West. I mean, I got one win, but I want to perform at that level, on that stage. And I know that it's even at my very strongest I've ever been, it's still, I think, another step up, because every super heavyweight on that stage is like top tier, right? And so to play with those guys, or to be at that level, you have to be like, you can't just be good. You can't just be the best in your city or in your state, or you have to be tippy top. So I wanted to stay in the United States for a little bit and play around here. There's amazing arm wrestlers in the United States, and then we also have, Devin, Jerry, Michael Todd, Dave Chafee. We have all those guys here, so I want to kind of get my name going, get some wins under my belt, get some momentum going, and then I would like to have a match with Dave Chafee. Would be really interesting to me. No idea exactly the timeline of when, but I feel like if you can give Dave a match, I feel like you have to be able to at least make Dave try pretty hard, and then you're good to start trying to take matches at East vs. West. And it's cool. We have a fantastic group of guys that have been around for a while, and if I can make Dave at least get into it, grit his teeth, and we have an okay match, even if I don't win, then strength wise, just pure strength wise, I feel like I'm on a good level to start making some more runs overseas. So I'm trying to get to that point.
Well, you said you were on TRT, but you got the natty huge guy problem with the super heavyweight, which is if you want to go above that, it's such a huge step up. Do you ever compete in like the heavyweight division?
No, I mean when I
No.
started arm wrestling, I think I was 270 at my lightest, and then
Yeah.
I've been up to 370 at one point. I'm like 330 right now. I
Yeah. Yeah.
usually stay around 330, 340. I usually
Yeah.
like just hang out around there.
Yeah. And what
But yeah, no lightweight for me.
do you think? I've heard sort of the argument that that the dynamics change in the super heavyweight because of how back pressure and grip sort of caps out at certain strength levels. Do you think
Mhm.
there's anything to that where, top roll is a more viable option in super heavyweight? Or do you think it's because these big guys just have too shitty mobility for a hook?
Well, first thing is a lot of super heavyweights become our one trick ponies, are
Yeah.
have one move for the most part, because in a lot of super heavyweight instances they grow up and they're always the strong guy, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere they go, every practice they go, from the beginning they're pretty much the strongest guy
Yeah.
around them. So they can do one thing and beat everybody around them.
Yeah.
And so they're not put in situations where they have to learn to be able to do other moves, because they just
Yeah.
beat everybody with that one move.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then so they so rarely come across a different, a problem where I have to
Yeah.
figure out how to solve this. I need to have different
Yeah.
different options. So super heavyweights specifically tend to be very one trick pony, like one move. Um, but yeah, I mean, there definitely is something to be said about the fact that we have an unlimited weight class, meaning get as big as strong as we can. So if you think about it,
Yeah.
certain muscles are small muscles, and our big muscles, our brachialis or our lats or our chest, can get wildly strong because it's a big
Yeah.
muscle. You can just keep growing. And so the moves that utilize the big muscles more would have we'd be able to utilize better, I guess, like that,
Yeah.
or put more pressure into.
Yeah.
So strap pulling, um, and then if you want to, it depends if you want to get into the specifics of like hooking versus top rolling, or inside arm wrestling versus outside arm wrestling. And you honestly think that inside arm wrestling would use bigger muscles like your chest and your shoulder and your biceps, but it doesn't. It still relies on your hand having to be able to control and contain a lot of things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your hand can only get so strong and be able to contain so much. That
Yeah.
an outside arm wrestling is generally not holding on, is using everything to go
Yeah.
backwards and using your brachialis and everything like that a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah.
Outside pulling is definitely more efficient than inside pulling in terms of strength and energy expenditure. So,
I
yeah, it
imagine
makes
as
sense
well.
to cater to outside.
I imagine as well. We talk about in powerlifting. We talk about fat pressure. How it's good to have mass around your joints because it creates extra pressure. And of course, the same might be true that it's harder to get tight and cut in angles if you have too much muscle and too much fat. Because
Right.
you see the lighter guys in like 154 pounds, they just get they're as strong like in here, right? So it's so easy for them to cut in. I imagine compared to, especially if you're a really big guy.
Mm. Yeah, and also a lot of our current like super heavyweight badasses are guys that, how do I word this? I don't want to say this anything that they're not meant to be super heavyweights.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Yeah,
got bigger, but when you do that, when your frame is set and you everything's set, then your hand size doesn't generally grow,
no,
right? And so they can
but-
get as big as they want, but that hand
yeah,
is staying the same, right?
yeah,
So to expect like Hermes, who traditionally was not a very big dude, to suddenly expect him to just use that hand, which is the same size as when he was 200 pounds, 175 pounds,
yeah, yeah,
suddenly expect him to just you know what I mean? So
yeah,
he's not really built to utilize
yeah,
that. So he's more built for, or even Michael Todd, who traditionally used to compete at like 175 back in the day and
yeah,
things like that. Those guys were not the biggest dudes. So, but that's
no,
why I've said that the future of super heavyweight arm wrestling will be true super. When I mean true super heavyweights. Guys that are super heavyweights, if they're just walking around not doing any sports, they would just
yeah,
be super heavyweights. Because as the sport gets bigger, then we're going to get more and more choices. Like more and more people will choose arm wrestling instead of
Yeah.
the NBA or football or rugby or something. They'll choose arm wrestling instead as the sport gets bigger and hopefully there's more money involved. Then, so now we'll start getting guys built like, like my size or Vitali or Alex Cardecho or guys like that will start choosing arm wrestling.
Yeah.
So, and if the more of those guys we get to choose from or that choose arm wrestling, then you're going to find, diamonds in the rough in there as well, guys that are smart and have multiple moves,
Yeah.
but are also gigantic. So eventually, you're
Yeah.
not going to see any of the age-old John Brzezinks, where it's like a small guy who just dominated all the big guys. Like that'll.
Yeah.
But I mean, hopefully, it's awesome to see, and it's motivating. But it's just like statistically, it'll kind of get worked out eventually as we just get more and more monsters in the sport. So
Yeah, because the pool of 6'6" people are not that big.
Right.
So if arm wrestling doesn't have so many people, there won't be a lot of them.
Yep.
Do you have a nationals in USA?
Yeah, we have. I think we have 4 nationals. And it's varied. It's gone back and forth. There's a lot of different leagues and promoters that have, oh no, I don't like the way you run this. I'm gonna go start my own nationals. And then this guy said he's gonna go start his own. And so over the years, I think there's like 3 or 4. I mean, certain people listen to this and they'd be like, "Oh, there's only one true nationals." But I'm saying there's like 4 tournaments that call themselves national championships. So, which one means the most? Which one's the I don't even. I don't know. Because it's
a
they all
bit
lead
bad
different places.
we have the same problem in Sweden, right? We have the IFA versus WAF, and apparently we're going back now, as last I heard.
Oh wow!
And our president stepped down, and there's a whole shift up going on. Talk to me and the viewers who doesn't understand the difference between a tournament and super match. What are the difference both technically and for an athlete that competes?
Well, I mean, your whole approach to a tournament is you can have a general idea of who you think is going to be there. Like you definitely want to know. I mean, knowledge is power, right? And knowing who's going to be there or what styles are coming and things like that, so you can prep a little better is always a bonus. But in the end, you never fully know. And since tournaments are random matchups, you don't know when you'll be arm wrestling this person. If you do arm wrestle them at all, you'll never know when. You'll never know what place you'll be in terms of damage or how tired you'll be by the time you arm wrestle this person. So the best thing for tournaments is to kind of, one, outside pullers do better at tournaments because it's less wars. If you hook, then you have to get in long grinding matches, and the odds of having a long match or difficult match is a lot higher. So outside pulling is a little more efficient for tournaments. That's why guys like Travis Bagent and things like that always did really well at tournaments, because they could just stay outside all day. They're not taking a lot of damage. And even if you get pinned in a top roll, the damage that happens to you is much less than if you're hooking and you get pulled through and all your elbow and everything gets ripped through and your chest, everything gets pulled open. It's way less damaging. So I think that you have to have generally a more well-rounded approach would be better, but especially an outside move going into a tournament. And homework is harder to do. It's harder to study up because you don't know everybody that's going. A lot of people like to lie and say they're not going and then actually go, or they'll even do the opposite and say they're going and then not go. So it's kind of the day of in terms of preparation mentally and like kind of knowing what you're getting yourself into. But that's why I ended up getting into super match arm wrestling and really liking that, because I do like having one opponent who I know has agreed, and then being able to spend. I'm a nerd and I'm super obsessive type of person. So when I have one person I can like really zero in on and watch a million videos and watch how they win and how they lose and where they where they do well and where they do bad or what they don't like and things like that, then I can better, and you usually have more time to prep for a super match. You have 4 months or whatever it is. So you have time to develop this pressure, really work on that move. And hopefully you're semi well-rounded so you can, you kind of already had a hook, but it's time to get that hook amazing. Or you kind of already had a high posting top roll, but let's make that better, so you have time to kind of fine tune things. That's why I prefer super matches over tournaments, but tournaments can be a lot of fun. It is fun to just test
It's
what
fun
you
when you
have.
win a tournament.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun when you win. I mean, that's true with
Yeah.
everything, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, when your move works out or you beat that guy, especially after you had a hard day, you've already had 3 hard rounds, and then you beat this guy. It's like this sense of accomplishment that I think is super powerful and amazing. But it's definitely rougher, and it's hard to tell who's the better guy at tournaments. It's definitely, in terms of ranking or seeding or anything like that, I think it's horrible compared to
Yeah.
Supermatch arm wrestling.
I only think it's good for the number one, because it's very hard to win a tournament if you're not the best guy. You have to get really lucky then.
Yeah,
But I
well, I mean,
also
but
prefer.
brackets can mess up everything. You could have the ranked number one guy go in there. He has 3 hard wars in a match, stylistic bad matchups. And all of a sudden, the ranked number 4 guy had an easy bracket, and he's a top roller.
Yeah.
Then they meet in the finals, and the ranked number 4 guy just smokes the ranked number 1 guy because
Yeah.
he was so tired. So it's like tournaments can be heavily skewed in terms of who would actually win in a fresh versus fresh match. Can be heavily skewed for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like the super matches more. I like the tactics of it, and I like the physicality of it. I feel like tournament is quite speed based, but super match is more the whole package, right?
Right.
And I like to think of the different styles, top roll, hook, press, and whatever, or your different muscles as like Pokemon. Have you played Pokemon?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have, if you have 6 strong Pokemon, it doesn't matter if one is dead, right? You can just switch over to your hook or your press.
Right.
But in a tournament, when you lose, you're done, right?
Yeah, you get 2 chances. That's it. I mean, unless you're pulling multiple classes and stuff. But I mean, it's fun. It's just it's definitely a gamble. It's definitely a gamble. It's not we're gonna go test to see who the better person is. The draw, the random brackets has so much to do with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still a fun way to go arm wrestle and see how it turns out, I guess.
Yeah. We have a club championship coming up in a week, and that is a weight-based bracket. So if you were in it, you would face the second heaviest guy in the first.
Oh, gotcha.
First
Okay.
round.
Yeah, they do. So they do everybody separate by weight, and these top 2 guys go against each other, and the bottom lightest guys go against each other, and it works. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly. It's usually a fun time.
Done some of those.
Yeah. So tell me about what is some relevant factors for you when it comes to what is a great day or a great week leading up to a super match.
Well, I mean, everybody has their own training concepts and the way they prepare for a super match. I'm a gym guy, so I generally do 1 practice on Sundays every week, and then if everything's going well, it's 5 days in the gym. And so I guess a good week would be moving forward. I do progressive overload, where it's just a little bit heavier each week, every lift. I track my lifts and things like that. And so a good week would be obviously hitting that little personal jump and PR in all my lifts. But also there's a heavy mindset and mental approach to each match. And so feeling more confident, that's a big thing for me. That's why for me, I have to train this way. The way that I train, not only do I believe in it like physically and it working, but also because I train isolated, meaning like I train very isolated on, say, my bicep. Then because it's an isolated lift, then I know that my bicep, it's measurable. It's very isolated lift purely on the bicep, and I can move. I'm 20% stronger than I was 3 months ago. It's mathematically, I know, because it's isolated, it's 20% stronger. Okay. So I do that with each muscle, right? The bicep, the pec major, the pec minor, yada, yada, yada. Test them all individually, know and track that they're stronger. So that way I don't hope, I know I'm stronger, like per numbers, per the numbers used and all the muscles used for arm wrestling. Yeah. So then, because I've done the other training styles where just table time or mainly table time. Okay. But I'm beating my teammates easier, but was he tired? Am I just learning how he arm wrestles and how to beat him? Am I, or, you're pulling the pulleys and things like that. Okay, did I just cheat that lift more than I cheated it before? Am I actually stronger? It's kind of mimicking arm wrestling, so but not really, because an actual other hand would be doing this or doing this with their thumb or making their arm more vertical or things like that. So that doesn't carry over directly to how I'm going to feel in the match. So I
Yeah.
needed something that's I know for a fact I'm going in here better than I was. And so me training this way helps my crazy mind prepare. So
Yeah.
a good week would not only be hitting better numbers, but also be building my confidence. And by the day the match happens, I'm in a different headspace,
Yeah.
feeling
So
great.
confidence is the central factor that you're after.
Yeah, I think everything ends up culminating, all my efforts end up culminating in being a confident guy that day. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously physically I want to be stronger that day, of course, and
Yeah.
more and everything ready, but yeah, I definitely need to feel good mentally to
Yeah.
be able to execute, you know.
Because it's a very interesting concept to me, this confidence versus fear factor. Because obviously, sometimes you're going to go up against an opponent that is a very scary guy, right?
Mm,
And both Travis and Devon have talked about how they almost feed off fear.
mm,
Um, Travis, he employs his, panic structure where he's up on his toes and he's panics and gets faster of it. And I remember
mm.
Devon talking about his fear of Levon feeding him, drive to become better. But I am like you. I can't do fear. I need absolute delusion that I'm gonna win, or
Yeah.
it's just no good, right?
Yeah, it comes with there's benefits, there's perks, but there's also drawbacks. Um So one thing that stems, I'll be so confident going into a match. I feel so good. The things that are going on in my brain are insane. Like the amount of
Yeah.
confidence and things I'm thinking are like I'm like this god floating above
Yeah.
everybody else, and like that's what's going on in my head.
Yeah.
But that tends to make um, it makes you arm wrestle in a way where you assume and just assume that everything's going to work out. And
Yeah.
so to find the balance of keeping that mindset, keeping that confidence, and letting the confidence manifest itself on the table, right?
Yeah.
But not arm wrestling in such a way that you're trying to bulldoze everything and arm wrestling
Mm.
unintelligently is the key, right? So it's like I've gotten a lot of crap about this in the past where I would hold on way too much. Like I'd be
Yeah.
stronger than the guy, but I would be holding on out of position just because I'm so confident in that moment that I'm so much stronger than this guy. I'm just like I'm just gonna smash you down to the
Yeah.
pad, and so then it'll put me in a situation where I'm gripping tight and I'm holding on way too much, chasing this
Yeah.
guy when really it would have been way more efficient for me to slip or rise or do
Yeah.
this or that. Now I've Devin gives me a lot of crap about it. I've gotten away from it a lot, but people then tend to see what they want to see. But the yeah, managing that mindset and that confidence to still not go overboard on the
Yeah.
table is something that I try to pay attention to. But yeah, you don't want to go in there unconfident, but you don't want to be too confident either. You need to be able to
Yeah.
think on the table,
Yeah.
right?
It's a tough trick.
Mm,
I find that for me, for some reason, I just get stronger and faster if I absolutely think that I will absolutely win.
mm,
The opponent is the weakest person ever, and his hand is made of mush. But
right.
it's hard to keep up when you go up against a guy that you have proof that he's not he's not
Yeah.
that weak, right? So do you have any like uh, rituals just before a match?
So you're talking about like within 20 minutes, 30 minutes before a
Yeah,
match, or
yeah,
um, I listen to. So I'll spend when I'm at the venue. I stare at my opponent a lot. I probably shouldn't, but I'll be like across the room, and I'm just in my mind. I'm just thinking and saying like a bunch of affirmations, and
yeah,
calling them a lot of bad words. Right,
yeah,
saying how that guy, he's such a this or such a that,
yeah,
and he's gonna have nothing for me, and like And like if he looks at me and like looks away, I'm like, yeah, like it's just more and more points.
Yeah.
And you know, Devin does the same thing. Like all week, Devin will be prodding the guy, trying to win anything. He'll win a thumb war,
Yeah.
just anything, just trying to like chip away. And so I spend a lot of time visualizing, and then eventually I start like, you know, head down. The music I'm listening to is like some crazy death metal, super fast paced stuff. And I try not to burn myself out. I don't want to burn out my CNS or get my energy or get all pumped up too early. And so that's something I had to learn over time was, especially you go to like East versus West and you're next to this person for 4 or 5 days before you arm wrestle.
Yeah.
And you just spent 4 months preparing for him. All of a sudden he's
Yeah.
right in front of you, but for like 4 days. And so it's hard to not see him and just start getting like on, you know, 3 days before a match, start getting all crazy and like,
Yeah.
because I've just been visualizing this person and visualizing how this is going to go. It's hard to just control that. So
Yeah.
the days leading up to it, I spent a lot of time not wanting to see them. I don't want to be around them because eventually the aggression is just building when I'm especially around, like I was around Matt Mask a lot before a match, and and Matt's an intense guy and stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm just looking at him and I'm just shaking. Oh, I just want to, you want to attack him or whatever because I have so
Yeah.
much rage built up. So the 30 minutes before I am, I make sure I'm in that right headspace, and then I get a lot of the metal music playing, but I'm trying to not blow my CNS. I try to focus on not flexing because a lot of times you get so excited for a match, you're tensing. You're like, oh, is that there? Is that muscle working? And you're just blowing energy. You're just
Yeah.
tiring yourself out doing that. And so it's just focus, and then hydrating, things like that, making sure I'm well hydrated and trying to drink as much water as I can. And then leading into the match, I take they have these, I don't know if they have them in Sweden, but they have these 5-hour energy shots out
Yeah.
here. They're like this little bottle, and I love those. Though for some
Yeah.
reason, those things hit me so hard. And
Yeah.
so I've always, my entire arm wrestling career, from when I was beginning and doing tournaments, right before, say my match is up in like 5 to 10 minutes, I'll pop. Usually I get extra strength ones. A lot of times I'll take 2 of them, and then but those always hit me like right away, whatever's in them.
Yeah.
And so then I got my caffeine in there and stuff like that. I've never really done too much pre-workout, but for some reason I like those 5-hour energy shot things. They work for me.
Yeah.
So I'll take that, and then just music as long as I can, and the music is saying things. It not only is it fast metal, but it's songs that are talking about, like, you know, you're the man and you're the best and you're the strongest and this type of stuff. More and more affirmations
Yeah.
to go up there and just yeah. Then by the time we get on stage, luckily, like a lot of this stuff is due to experience. Like I'm not nervous on stage at all. I don't mind all the cameras. I don't mind a million people watching. That doesn't play into me or how I'm going to arm wrestle in a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a background before arm wrestling where I wanted to be an actor, then I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and I've always been on stage. I did drama classes and acting class and all the things back in the day. So since I'm the biggest guy generally in any room, I'm used to everybody staring at me all the time.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's segueing into going on a stage, that never affected me. But I also remember what that can do to your opponent, especially
Yeah.
if you're arm wrestling someone that's newer, is that if I walk on stage and you're staring at me and I'm like, I know the ref, hey, what's up, man? And
Yeah.
I'm like totally comfortable on that stage. If
Yeah.
you're not comfortable on that stage, that is going to mess with you seeing your opponent like, why is he so comfortable? Why is he not nervous like me? Why does he seem so cool and collect right now? How many times has he been here? Like, does he know what he's doing? You know, like that starts going through your mind. And so generally, if I was doing like a tournament or a more local type of super match, I would really play into that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I would
Yeah.
just be the coolest, funniest dude, and it makes you kind of second guess yourself. But at that level, like East versus West level, everybody's been there 1,000 times. It's just business as usual. But yeah, just waiting to get my hands on them. Kind of by the time I get up to the table, it's just like it's just right before a fight. You know, the
Yeah.
amount of aggression I have and how much I'm ready to. My mindset is kind of a lot of times like see if you can stop this. Let's see if you can deal with this. Like
Yeah.
see if you can deal with what I'm about to do. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about stopping you. I'm not worried about can I stop what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
It's more like see if you can stop what I'm about to do. That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. By the time I grip up, it's just a lot of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the energy drink and music, I guess, and then I do some of the air squats to get the thighs going, to get the blood pumping a little bit, and yeah, that's about it. I think just a lot of water.
I saw the East the people from the East do some squats in between rounds. Is that to get the pump out of the forearms, or?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So you want to if you get the thighs pumping, then the idea is it'll take blood out of the forearm because it'll start promoting blood flow to your thighs and the big muscles and your legs.
No.
But then also to get your heart rate up, because
Yep.
you don't want to do push-ups and tire out your arms. So when you go to like WAF, you'll see a lot of guys over in the corner like doing squats and stuff. That's very common, and it's just to get your heart rate up, get things moving without tiring out your arms, and then
Yeah.
also you would do it in between rounds to try to get some blood out of your arms. Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are doing air squats and things like that. I remember that freaked me out the first time I went to WAF. I was, why are all these arm wrestlers doing squats? What is going on? It's crazy. Yeah.
It's two interesting topics you brought up, which is the first is, the somatic nervous system burnout. This is something that we talked about a lot in powerlifting, and since we always had so good schedules with times, no one was at the meet or the competition until they were going to warm up. So even if it's a 3-day event, you would see the heavyweights they're not even in the vicinity of the place. They're on vacation somewhere, watching a movie. And I really felt, because then it's so measurable as well. If you're powerlifting, you got the exact kilos that you've done, and it's just an absolute disaster spending too much time in that environment, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, when talking about a neurological, psychological aspect of the environment, especially like you said, stressing out a new guy or any opponent really, is that arm wrestling is a sport that requires maximum cognitive load, which is, how many bits per second can you process? And that is something like 1.5 conversations. So you can listen to one conversation, right? Easy. But listening to 2 conversations as well, most people can't do that. It's just too much.
Yeah.
So if you think about all the stuff that you're thinking in your head that you're going to do, I'm going to top roll, I'm going to hook and whatever, I'm going to listen to the ref, I'm going to shoulder squared, I'm not really used to shoulder squared. If you add more stress to that, it's really going to affect someone.
Yeah, I mean, I train, whenever I have new guys on my team, I tell them, when most people go to their first tournament or the first time competing, right when they walk into that stage, they have everything going through their brain that they could possibly think of. Like okay, this guy over here told me to have my feet right. This guy says I have my hips right. I need to have my elbow in. I need to have my knuckles up. And there's so many things that they're actively thinking about that it tends to manifest itself by them going slow, right? So they're thinking about everything, and then all of a sudden the match looks like this.
Yeah.
Oh no. They're like, it's so many new guys, and I went through it. So many guys go through that, and I remember it's just because I was thinking about everything, thinking about way too many things. And so I tell my new guys, I say, okay, whatever our move is, or whatever you plan to do for this match, pick one very simple thing. Like, I'm gonna make my knuckles go up. Okay, whatever the thing is. Now do that as hard and fast as you possibly can. The rest of it, we've built muscle memory over the last 6 months, training for this, that the muscle memory will do what it needs to do. But pick one thing and do that fast and hard, right? And then hopefully everything else will fall behind it. But if you start thinking about everything at once, you'll go so slow. It's just too much. It's too much on your brain. So I hate when people overcomplicate arm wrestling especially for new guys. Oh no, and you need to slide your elbow and put your shoulder back and do all this and that. They're trying to comprehend everything you're saying, and then they just get wrecked. But it's just like, keep it simple, keep it very simple. Simple is fast. If you only have to move one thing, you can do that one thing really fast, right? And so just make that. So that's why, you'll hear me screaming at people at tournaments where people go first. Just that one thing first. Just do that one thing very fast, and then it'll work out hopefully at the end.
I think maybe there's a tradition in arm wrestling of having too much fun, because if you think about it, the first year it would probably be more efficient to just do ready goes, like hours and hours and hours on end for that tournament.
You still have to train efficiency though. So like, I can have people move fast. I got guys that come to practice every once in a while and just want to go fast, fast, fast.
Yeah.
But if you're not moving efficiently, if you're fast, but it's just ugly speed, then
Yeah.
I can hit really fast. But if I get stopped, all of a sudden I'm
Yeah.
down here and I'm like, oh no, and I lose.
Yeah.
So, in terms of speed, I think speed is something that you can develop, and I feel like it. But I'd rather have precision and efficiency dialed in before we start really embracing speed a ton. Because I want that speed to be nice. I want you'd be able to stop on a dime and keep everything you just took and everything you just gained.
Yeah.
But if you're sacrificing, and that's a lot of Americans arm wrestle that way. are very sloppy in terms of huge hits, and then if it doesn't work, they just completely screw themselves over.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
when
I mean, a lot of newcomers and experienced people as well do I feel like, my opinion, too much of the Devon Larratt slow pressure training instead of actually going off the ready go, even if it's not that fast, I feel like it's one thing when you are a seasoned veteran, but when you're a beginner, just training for a specific groove or position that you might get into feels like inefficient training.
Oh, training from a starting position should be priority number one.
Yeah.
All my programming, everything's based off of neutral, like a starting position. And then, I'll train other things like a defensive hook and things like that. But the priority is always being strong here. And then what we can do from here, like after that. But that should always be everybody's priorities, to be strong center table and be in a starting position. Like I love training biceps. I love training palm up biceps. But in my training and my programming, this is more important. All the hammer curling, because we start like this. So this is more important to me than training biceps. I love nothing more than trying to do heavy bicep curls and testing myself. But it's just not the best to put all your energy into that when we're gonna start right here, right?
Yep.
So I think most new guys should definitely follow that, train their neutral starting position, and anything that has to do with starting for sure.
Yeah, I've spent almost a year now specializing on rising back pressure, just to choose the position in the start, and I feel like it's so efficient to just get super strong up back here, even if that's not how you pull, right? No one actually does this.
Yes, strength is never a weakness, man. It's just how you use it. So that training, I believe in training really well rounded. I train every muscle used for arm wrestling. So I'm training muscles used for moves that I don't really like doing, but just so it's there, so that way I can have that choice if I need it. But I mean, like we kind of we talked about earlier a little bit, was like talking about grip. It's to be strong at it's fine. It's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna be a bad thing to throw some grip training in there. But it could be bad if you start depending on that grip too much.
Yeah.
Or if you build up your brachialis so much that you stop worrying about rising or pronation and you're just hammer curling, right? So strength is always a good thing, but you got to make sure you use it correctly. You don't start depending on that strength, that specific strength too much,
Yeah, I was interested in the gripper thing because I've actually come across some people that are so strong in their hands that they can sort of squish their opponent's hand, especially in the straps. And it does seem like an effective strategy when you go up against someone with more feeble hands. Of course, that is not the most common thing in arm wrestling, but it does happen, right?
Yeah. I've trained grippers. I have all my grippers like right here next to me on my wall. And if anybody that watches my podcast knows, like we have this fun little grip challenge, and I got up to the point of closing a 3.5. I've done it on my stream a bunch, but I don't know. I just feel like there's so many situations where it's not super prevalent that but there are some. And weirdly enough, I tell people all the time, it's in the straps is where your grip comes out the most. Because they can no longer run away. Like they're in there with you. You can't evade. So now I can sink your hand below my hand. I can force things. I can drive that thumb, and you have to handle all that pressure. You can't run away from it. So grip comes into big play in the straps. But outside the straps, there's still some situations. If you're low hand top rolling, the worst thing you want to happen if you're low hand top rolling is for someone to go high and go over the top part of your hand. So you can grip and keep them into your palm while you're low handing. You can keep their hand in here. So there's some situations outside of the straps where grip can come into play, or if you're trying to do like a exploding hand technique, like you're trying to clamp
Yeah.
on someone's thumb and not let them run, I guess.
I
But
also recently learned about the old hook from the 1990s, where they sort of cut in they rise while cutting in supination. And
mhm,
apparently, this also uses a very grip a lot because they need a lot of down pressure.
mhm,
Sort of some of the best guys from the lighter weight classes from the 1990s apparently use this a lot. I talked to
mhm.
the team captain of the Swedish national team, and he does it a lot. And it was a super interesting style. I can't wait for it to make a comeback, especially against the Kings move. It's
Yeah.
super interesting.
I'd have to see how that works out.
Yeah, because it's usually when you hook, right, you kind of dive downwards as well. But when
Mhm.
they stay high, sort of cuts with the wrist bone on their wrist bone. So
Right.
if you try to open top roll, you just get squished. Super interesting move. But it's so
Yes.
odd to perform that it takes like 6 months of practice just to try it.
Yeah. No.
So everyone has had severe arm wrestling pain. I forgot to ask earlier, but what do you do for a living, if I may ask?
Oh, I don't do anything physical for a living.
No, okay.
I
Sorry.
I've always done like I've always been like a supervisor, or I do security or things like that. And securities, it's physical a little bit every once in a while,
No.
like when you have to be physical, but 95% of it's not physical. And
Yeah.
that was kind of by design, especially when I was newer and I was training a
Mm.
lot and I was so beat up and everything hurt. I was so thankful that I was not doing a physical job. I was a supervisor at UPS at the shipping company,
Yeah.
and I did that for 10 years. So the bulk of my arm wrestling career, I was a supervisor at UPS, and but UPS is like there's unions and things like that, and the management is not supposed to touch a package. Like it's
Oh,
against
yeah.
the rules actually for us to touch packages,
No.
and so but there I was also like the biggest guy there, so I'd have
Oh.
my employees underneath me, who are supposed to be moving the packages, and there'd
Mm.
be like a big box, and they'd be like, "Oh man, this heavy, Derek, help me!" And I just had practice the day before. Nope, and they would
No.
get so mad at me because they were
Yeah.
so lazy. I'm like, no, you gotta understand. If I pick up that box with the way how beat up I am right now, it's gonna set me back 3 days of healing. My nerve is gonna become inflamed. I
Yeah.
am not gonna be able to do anything for the next 3 days. So I've been very lucky in that I've been able to have a lifestyle where I can manage all the pain
Yeah.
really well
Yeah.
and not push it and put priorities on healing and
Yeah.
not going doing too much basically.
So you don't have any sort of legendary pain moments.
Oh, and I mean, you have to if you're an arm wrestler. Like
Yeah.
we all have that moments where we thought maybe we could arm wrestle 2 days in a row,
Yeah.
or we thought that we're made out of 2 days of healing was enough, or you push those limits. But you have to find. I tell a lot of my guys like you have to become a professional healer of yourself. Like
Yeah.
Derek had to learn how Derek heals and what Derek responds well to, and
Yeah.
what I know immediately. I can be in the middle of practice an hour and a half in, and I'll know exactly what is damaged and how long it's going to take me to heal
Yeah.
it. Like this is 2.5 days, and I'll be ready. I'll be good
Yeah.
again. Like I know exactly because I've spent so much time being hurt, or like not hurt, but tore down from practice, or my nerves inflamed. That I know I have different levels of recovery. Like
Yeah.
if Devin comes out to practice and some other big crazy guys, and I know that practice is going to be wild. I'm going to lose and get ripped through all day. I already know this is going to happen. Then
Yeah.
that puts me on like the most insane. And if I need to recover soon, like I have a match coming up, then okay, that means when I get home, I have elbow ice sleeves. I have buckets where I'll dunk my arm in hot water, do hot cold treatments. I have like my massage gun. I'll
Yeah.
have everything prepared for if I'm at that level. If I do a
Mm.
normal Sunday practice where I'm just holding everybody, there's no one really pushing me to any limit. Okay, I really don't really do anything. I'll just give it a day and just kind of let the nerves relax, and I'm good to go. I'll go lift weights like the
Yeah.
following day. So you have to learn how to manage yourself and what
Yeah.
helps you heal up. And I think that that's one of the most important things you can do as an arm wrestler is learn how your body reacts to things and how recovery helps you or works for you. You know.
I remember a specific time in 2019, I think it was, we had a multi-club big practice on a Sunday. And I was like, it's fine, because I was working at on a construction site for Microsoft at the time. And we were just way too many people. And I almost never did anything because we were just waiting for the machines. So I was like, it's fine, because I was so trashed. And then I came in on Monday and they were like, we made an error. There's a pipe underneath this concrete block. And we can't reach it with a machine. So you'll have to use I don't know what it's called. It's like a metal spear.
Like a crowbar kind of thing?
Yeah, but a big one.
Mm.
So I had to chop off like this piece of concrete out of a concrete slab. And I thought I was going to die. It took like 3 hours. And
It's so funny. I have a guy that just went through that exact same thing on Sunday. He's a good buddy of mine. I got him to arm wrestling. He's been going all out. Big dude, big muscles, gym guy, and he loves arm wrestling. He's all in. He's been doing it for a few months, been competing. And he went and did a practice on Saturday. But he told me, I'm gonna do this practice on Saturday, but I'm just gonna arm wrestle. Like, I think he said, I'm just gonna try top roll, and then I'll come on Sunday and I'll just hook. And I'm thinking to myself, you're not just gonna top roll. Someone's gonna put you in a hook in that Saturday practice, and you're gonna like, okay, sure. So he shows up on Sunday after he did the Saturday practice, and immediately I think he got on a table with like once or twice, and he goes, "Oh, I think that was a bad idea." But we're starting this new thing on my team where we're testing our max numbers in certain lifts. So I bought a crane scale. We attach it to the wall. We have a table, and we're testing. Okay, everybody test your back pressure in the exact same lift, and we're writing down. And then in 3 months, we're going to test everybody again. So it was not a good day for him to do this. He was already tore down, and he wasn't going to do it. But eventually, I look away and I look over and I see him over there with the guys, and all of a sudden he goes, "Go!" He's against a wall. He's doing max back pressure against a wall. His girlfriend was right there next to me, and I go, "Oh, he's going to start crying after this." And he's everything, and then he stopped, and he goes, "Oh, it took about 2 or 3 seconds." He had the pump. He's like, "Oh, they kind of hurt." And then I'm just watching him, and I just see it go, "Oh." It's just, and he was, oh my gosh. He sits down, he's on the bench on the chair, he's like, oh, he said, "This is the worst pain I've had in my adult life." There, and he's sitting there. I was like, I told you it was a bad idea. You should have just rested or not came to practice today. But he was
the isometric max is the worst too.
Yeah, he did max effort to failure against a brick wall. Just, and I'm like, oh, dude, bad,
brutal, absolutely brutal.
But we've all been there. Yeah, I have pictures of me sitting in corners with a bottle of ibuprofen and like water. I'm like, just dying. Like, dude,
it's always like this as well.
yeah. You just want to keep your arms bent and have all those stories.
So talking about mental aspects in competition, what's sort of the worst mental mistake that you've made in a competition or before a competition, perhaps?
Well, I mean, like what I touched on earlier is probably the most common one. Just getting too confident and too hyped up, where I end up making a mistake on the table. But besides that, like I missed my WAF trips. I went to WAF twice. I've competed at WAF 2015, 2017, and I am 0-2 or 0-4 right-handed. I have not won a match at WAF right-handed. Left-handed, I got 11th and 9th at WAF. But the both times, I was so excited to travel. It was like the first times I would travel internationally ever. And I went out the night before the right-handed match. Went out and had some drinks and like the things. Rather than just staying focused, I was just so excited to travel and be like, oh, I'm in Budapest. Like, I've never been to Budapest. This is amazing. Like, the food's great. And these girls, everybody's inviting us to go out clubbing and stuff. And I'm like, well, we can go out for a little bit, right? Like, maybe just, I got to leave in like 3 days, but I really want to, I've never been to another country. Or the other one was in Malaysia. I'm like, oh, we're in Malaysia. I've never been over here. So that was a big thing, is that like not getting, for me at that level, like not being too excited about being in this new opportunity or this new situation, and staying focused on the job at hand. So I've made that mistake, I guess, of not being focused enough. But everything is managing travel and stuff, it's been a learning curve, right? Because
Yeah.
you do your super matches locally with someone on your team,
Mm.
then that is treated much differently in a lot of aspects compared to now where I'm taking a match in Turkey against this
Yeah.
guy. And the approach to it and learning how to deal with the travel, learning how to deal with the hydration, learning how to deal with the sleep, and learning how to deal with like everything. It's like a whole different ball
Yeah.
game. When I remember I went to I was at East vs West a while ago, and a new guy, or not new guy, but a new guy to East vs West, an American arm wrestler, a lightweight guy. For some reason, his name is escaping my brain. But I remember he told me earlier that week this was his first time ever flying internationally, and he had a match on the East vs West card. And I'm like, okay, like it's a lot because managing that flight and the jet lag and all that stuff is very difficult. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't consciously approach it and handle it, it will screw you over. I mean, and I remember we were in the rules meeting. I think it was the day we're supposed to arm wrestle. We're all sitting there in the stands listening to Engin and them go over the rules. And I look over and it's just like right next to me, passed out. I'm like, we'd already been there for 4 days at this point. Like he still hadn't got his sleep dialed in 4 days later. And I'm like, dude, that's all bad. And he ended up losing his match. And I don't know like how much that affected him, but that's affected me before. I had to have a series. I had to sit down with Todd Hutchings and John Brzezinski. I was thinking, who travels a lot and has this dialed in? Oh, John and Todd have been doing this for years, and they have the traveling part dialed in. So I had to sit down with them and like learn. Okay, how do you handle flying and then competing in like 3 days and stuff? And so they gave me little tips and tricks and things like that. But over the years, I've had to learn everything. I know how much water I need to drink the day before for me. I know what I like to have for breakfast for me. And it's just trial and error because I'd gone to that match and messed that up, or I messed that up, or I messed that up. And so, getting all that dialed in over time for super matches is difficult. I feel like it's a lot different for a lot of people. When did you stop lifting? When's the last time you had table time? All these things, and people handle like Todd Hutchings. I think if he had his way, he would still lift the day before a match. Like he likes to lift because he has his max effort day on this Sunday, and he's used to lifting until Saturday, and then max effort day on Sunday. So he would lift all the way up to it. Then he says that's the day he likes it. So I think it's different for a lot of people, but I think that finding the way that works for you is everything. And the more you get that dialed in, then it just starts bearing fruit over time. Like you'll see more and more victories, But yeah, I think that probably the confidence thing, too much of it or not enough of it is the thing I'm always like going back and forth with. I'm a head case for sure. I don't know what kind of trauma is in here from the past, but like I need to feel good. And I think that not only people give me crap about, they say that I'm choosy about my matches. Like I've heard people say things like Derek cherry picks his matches. He only picks certain opponents and things like that. I just, at this stage of my career, I want to arm wrestle people that I like am excited to arm wrestle. And like it, because it manifests itself. I've used that word manifest a lot. It shows itself in a lot of different ways. And like if it's somebody I want to be, like I always said, I want to beat Dave Chafee, right? That's a goal of mine. A goal of mine is to arm wrestle Dave Chafee. If I get that match set, I'm going to train so hard. I'm so excited for that opportunity. I will give my very best that day. Everything, no stone left unturned. Now, if I have a match with somebody that's not even a super heavyweight, that is just like something else, like love Matt Mask, but Matt Mask, when I arm wrestled him, he was a heavyweight. I'm a super heavyweight. We're not even on the same rankings, right? But at the same time, you get pressures, you get phone calls from people, or there's money involved. You're like, yeah, but it's not a match I wanted. It's not a match that I'm like excited for. It's a match I guess I'll do. It's a lose-lose a little bit because even if I win, I'm the super heavyweight, so it doesn't mean anything. Or I lose to a lighter guy, so it's kind of a lose-lose situation. And so I've been putting a lot of matches and taking a lot of matches just due to peer pressure or money pressure or different pressures that I'm like, I didn't really want. I didn't choose that. And so a lot of time I just want like, what am I gonna be excited about? I want that match. I want the match I'm gonna be really excited about. My first match, I had Tom Nelson. I wanted that match. Tom Nelson was number one in California for a long time. I watched him. I developed this anger and hatred and stuff. It was like 10 years of me hearing him talk crap. finally I was like, I want this. And I trained really hard. And then I chose Tim Bresnan. I chose that. It was my idea. I talked to the promoter. I set this up. Okay. So I was all in, trained so hard. And then the offers start coming in, right? So you win that match, you get in this top ranking thing. And now people say, we want you to arm wrestle this guy in 2 months on this big thing. And you're like, oh, you're not really choosing anymore. Now they're saying you're arm wrestling this guy. And you're like, stylistic, this is not something I would have chosen like at all. And they're like, yeah, but we're going to give you this or that. And it's going to be in front of this or that. And so you're all of a sudden you're in this thing where everybody else is kind of choosing your matches for you. And it's just pressures, just forcing you to arm wrestle this person or that person. But it's not something I was excited for or I would have went for on my own. So trying to find those matches is the thing. Something that keeps me motivated and hyped up. I mean, you saw the post I made on Facebook where a lot of aspects of arm wrestling are making me a little jaded. So finding these things that are pure that get me excited is kind of where I'm at right now. You know, trying to find stuff that's going to keep me into the sport. Right.
Well, you know, screw the haters because there's so many annoying people now that posture as if they arm wrestle and they comment based on that, but they don't actually arm wrestle. And it's just their opinion, even though their attention is appreciated, their opinion is useless, right? And I think I completely agree. People want to put me against fast people because they want to see if, you know, can you over a super match find the lane and stop them, because I'm slow and strong and I hate it. It's not fun. I want like a war, right? So I don't think it's any fault to choose your super matches. And if you're a professional puller, I think you should try and find the easiest wins. That's sort of a Devon Larratt way of thinking, that winning is the ultimate.
I'm not trying to choose
No,
easy wins.
I'm not saying you do, but if you did, it would be fine still, I think.
I'm trying to see like who's a hill that is ranked above me, that is better than me, that I think I can climb. I think I can beat that. I see something. He's still the favorite. I'm still not the favorite to beat him, but I feel like this is a challenge. Like I think I might be able to do it. Like, and then that's what gets me excited to try. Like I said, Dave is a perfect example. Dave Chafee, like I'm definitely the heavy underdog, like for sure in every aspect. He has more experience. He's been proven to be stronger, all the things. And it's just like, I wonder, there might be some things in there. I think Dave will let me arm wrestle. He's not the fastest guy, which is great because I'm not very fast either. I think he'll let me get into my move. He'll let me exert all the strength I have. I'll really get to test my full strength on him. And I feel like if I get to a great spot, I think maybe that version of Derek can do something. I'm not saying I can beat him. I think there's a chance I can hang him up, you know? And so like just that gets me excited. That makes me want to train my ass off for months and months and months. But yeah, I don't want to arm wrestle somebody that I'm just going to be like, you know, honestly.
But if there was, I was thinking of if there is sort of a match, say there is someone who maybe in the standing is ranked higher than you, but stylistically would be easier to beat. That is someone that I at least would. It's fine to go after that person because it's part of the professional game, right?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely. There's definitely guys ranked ahead of me that would be much easier matches for me to take in terms of who I think I can beat. But I don't know. I just, that's not what I'm really focused on. I want to test myself and just get ready to go back overseas and try to do well over there. That's all I really care about, is getting to a level where, all right, let's go overseas and try to have a real match and actually compete with the, Morozovs and the Rivazes and guys that beat me and like actually be on that level, right? That's the goal. And so everybody's gonna have their opinion, right? There's gonna be comments on this video, people talking crap somehow, even though like I haven't acknowledged my losses or I don't know what happened, and then people saying weird stuff, but I mean, and a lot of it's on Reddit, but no matter what, people, I wish the guys on Reddit would understand how much I protect them. Because I get a lot of pressure from a lot of outside sources to just chomp down on Reddit and just moderate the crap out of it. And we have just two. There's only two of us, and I keep it that way on purpose because I don't want it getting overly moderated. I think it's beautiful in a sense that we have a place where people can anonymously post their opinions about arm wrestling and things. I
Yeah.
like that aspect, and I've had these arguments with Devin, where he's like, dude, Reddit is a shit show, and I'm like, yeah, it is. Don't get me wrong, it is for sure, but it's the only place where you can, if you want to know, say you're a promoter for a tournament, if you want to know how people are really thinking about your tournament, what they really think about the production and everything like that, and they're not afraid to be banned or ostracized or anything, and they're just going to post because their name on there is Sniper Bob 222. Like, they're going to say what they really think. You'll find out what people really think. And I think that's important, that we have a place somewhere where people can just bleh. But it's toxic, don't get me wrong, but it's also valuable to see what the community or fans of the sport are actually thinking. What athlete are they actually hating? Why are they hating this guy? Why, like, so it's good for a promoter or people to be able to see that and kind of don't get too involved, but sit back and read, oh, everybody hates this guy, or they maybe putting him on my next show isn't the best, or maybe it is the best because he has a lot of heat right now. Everybody wants to watch him. So it's like, I don't know, it's good for that. But if you get too involved in what people are saying, oh yeah, it's a ton of idiots on there. I'm not saying they're all idiots. I'm not going to say that, but there's a ton of them. A lot of guys are not arm wrestlers, have no idea what they're talking about, but love to just speak as if they do. But you got to kind of take the good with the bad. And I've told Devin this, I said, man, it's good just to see what do people feel about Devin Larratt right now? What's the overall view on Devin? And it's going to be a lot of shit, but there's going to be some good. You got to kind of read into it.
Yeah, so. And it's sort of, even if some of it's stupid, it's still a real opinion. A stupid opinion is still real, right? They actually feel that way. So it does matter. I wanted to, on this topic, close out with a quote, actually. Let's see if I can bring it up here. I thought it was fitting. The man in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. I like that. It's by Theodore Roosevelt.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, and super, has to do with what we were just talking about with Reddit. It's winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners.
Yeah.
So it's just exactly. That's why you never, like, I don't know, that it's hard to digest all that stuff and all the things that you hear and are said online. And I'm in a situation where, because I'm the moderator on there, I have to read a lot of it. And but at the same time, it's just like, I just remind myself, like, he has no idea what he's talking about. And at what point, like, would I start valuing this random person's opinion anyway? Like, they have no merit. There's no reason for me to care about what they have to say. So
I heard someone make a smart point. It was, why do you listen to the opinions of people that you would not ask for advice?
Yeah. It's a very short list of people I would ask for advice and actually value their opinion. Very short list. I've thought about that. It's surprisingly short. And so, I mean, I wouldn't, and everybody should follow that. I mean, there's a lot of people that going through what I go through in terms of your name being in some kind of light, and then here comes all the haters and opinions and from everybody. And it's hard to digest at first for a while. But it's something you can avoid it and run, but you're still it's gonna creep up on you. It'd be better to develop a mindset to be able to handle it better. Be able to process it, I think. So, especially if you're like you, who likes the challenge, so you're always aiming up, because people are so bandwagon-ish. They like winners, but it doesn't matter if that win is downwards or upwards. I remember specifically when both Lachlan Adair and Ryan Bowen had their sort of Australia run and hot win streak, and their popularity and
how people perceive them in sort of like dislike really skyrocketed, right? And then when, you know, Bowen went on sort of a losing streak, sort of plummeted. And people talk about his delusion slash confidence, but he has always been like this. It's only if you win or if you lose that makes people like you, it seems.
Well, it was weird after because my Tim Bresnan win was like undoubtedly my win that like propelled me to whatever
Yeah.
people start talking about me. And the weird thing is like I've gone back and digested this because right after that is where I started getting invites and everything was changing for me. But at the same time, suddenly like people started hating me. But it was weird because I'd never made videos of me being cocky or saying I'm gonna beat this guy or this guy sucks. I'm not that type of person. But I'm like all of a sudden I'm getting a ton of hate. And looking back on it, the biggest thing that changed was that Ryan Bowen made a video about me right afterwards saying, "Is Derek Smith the next Levon killer or the next Levon?"
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And nothing to do with me. Like I didn't make this video. I had nothing to do with it, but some other guy. But because Ryan had such a big following, that everybody's like, hell no. And then it just started this whole thing where I started developing these haters and people that wanted to see my downfall because somebody else said Derek could be the next Levon. And I'm just over here like, why am I getting so much shit talking to me? Like I haven't even done, and just this hate group just started developing because other people were excited about me, and so everybody had to prove them wrong. So it started this thing, and it was kind of sucked because I was like, I didn't say I'm not cocky. Like, why am I getting so much hate right now? This is so weird. And but yeah, I mean,
it's hard too if you're not a heel, because if you're like a wrestling heel, then you could just be like, fuck you and fuck you and fuck you.
Yeah.
But if you're a nice guy, then you know it's no fun.
Yeah, like I can't be like it's hard for me to change it. I'm not going to be nicer or I was like I can't predict less. I won't because I make no predictions for myself at all. I just do the best I can and see how it shows up. But it's kind of funny. Whatever.
Yeah.
Only thing I do is focus on myself, training, and try to win.
Yeah, exactly. So for the last finishing bit, to any new arm wrestler or someone that is thinking about going to a practice, what advice do you have for them?
Definitely, like you said, find a practice for sure. Don't just try to arm wrestle with people at pubs and with your friends. You don't know how to arm wrestle safe. They don't know how to arm wrestle safe. No one's keeping anybody safe. Don't do that. Find a team. Find a local team. Get a hold of an experienced arm wrestler. If for some reason, and I hear it all the time, there's no teams around me, then message an experienced arm wrestler. There's other avenues and ways to find teams that aren't very known, right? So there's armfighter.com or there's the ArmBet app. But if that doesn't work, there's Facebook groups for almost every arm wrestling team. If that doesn't work, then message an experienced arm wrestler and he'll be like, okay, where do you live? You live in this random, town in this country? Okay, I'll find the nearest arm wrestler to you. And maybe you and him can just practice. So there's always a way, generally, for some way for you to find someone to train with. Just watching videos online and just doing bicep curls at home is not going. One, is safety is always paramount. That's not going to teach you how to be safe. But two, you have to learn how to apply the pressure physically, right? And so getting with a team is everything. That is the end all be all. And but yeah, just take it slow. Do not rush the process. Do not rush trying to be amazing within a month. Don't even rush that day and trying to be the best that day of everybody you arm wrestle. Like, take your time. It's a marathon. We have to change these arms into arm wrestling arms. These bones are going to get new pressures. These tendons are going to get new pressures. Everything's going to be brand new to your arm. So don't try to be amazing day one. And there's a ton of stuff I could say, but I guess I'll just leave it at that.
I get asked sometimes, what sort of complementary gym work can I do before I start arm wrestling to become strong at arm wrestling? And I always say you have to go arm wrestle, because all of these complementary lifts, even good ones, like cupping and whatever, it's like running for a boxer. It's great for a boxer, but it's not going to make you a good boxer at all. To just run. Completely different.
You got to do the sport, man. You can't just. But they always find out eventually. So we can tell them until we're blue in the face, but they can train at home. And then when they find out at a tournament, then okay. Yeah. It always comes back to the same things. There's so many different training concepts and ways to get strong in arm wrestling, but there are certain things that are consistent through everybody's approach.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to arm wrestle.
Yeah.
You have to move heavy things to
Yeah.
get stronger for arm wrestling at some point, and you have to get experience. These are universal. There's nobody that
Yeah.
has no experience, that never lifted anything heavy, that just comes in and is a badass. It doesn't happen. So it's part of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this podcast, having a chat with me.
Yeah, no
It was a
problem.
lot of fun. And
Andrew, same.
good luck in your upcoming super match.
Thank you. Well, whenever you want to be back on, man, I'm down to come through. I love my favorite thing is to talk about is training and actual arm wrestling and like this type of stuff, more than talking about who I think would win between this person and this person. That gets boring.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
actually talking about the ins and outs of arm wrestling in the sport, of either a mental aspect or a physical aspect, is super intriguing to me. And yeah, if you ever have a new topic pop in your head, you want to know, let me know. I'm down to talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll do it again. Have a great day, Derek.
You too. Nice talking to you, man.